And now we're on to Marcus and Damon, who are going to talk about universal basic guarantee. Again, should be online. I'm hoping they're there.
I'm here.
They both.
I don't see my slide yet, the first one. So I'll just start and then we shall move on to Damon. So thank you very much, Diana. Hello, Bristol, or Washail, Bristol. I'm taking a Mercian perspective, so we'll explain what that is in the presentation. So next slide, please. So I'll go through this quite quickly, and then I shall hand over to Damon to explain the details about money and the money theory around UBG about halfway through the presentation. And we're going to contrast two things: universal basic income, which is a monetary payment, and universal basic guarantee, which is more of a service or institutional economics approach. Next slide, please. So Mercia, for those who don't know, is roughly where the Midlands of England is, and it's a Anglo-Saxon kingdom that has never been fully abolished in our view, but nevertheless we declared an independence in 2003, and we work on the idea of community cooperation in a communitarian approach with organic democracy, and an ecological balance is very important to what we want to do. You can see there rough map where it is, and the people at the Declaration of Independence. Next slide, please. Mercia itself has seen all sorts of innovations. You'll see the Bristol pound there. You'll see a penny from King Offa. You'll see countercoin. These are different ways of looking at money relations and how can we deal with the aspects that arise from functioning or non-functioning fiat currencies. And they just open up the possibilities of what we could do with money and different ways of looking at money. Next slide, please. But there is a real problem when we think about money relations. And if you take Milton Friedman's neutral money theory, it's just a tool that gets used. It doesn't have anything else embedded in it. And I and Damon tend towards the view of institutional economics, where we say money is not neutral. It's ideological and it transforms the social and economic relations as you use it. Therefore, you can design money or you can look at money to try and alter those things. But fundamentally, that's still money. Next slide, please. So I'm going to hand over to Damon now, who will continue with some of the objections.
Okay, can you hear me? Can people hear me? Right, okay. The philosophical objections, well, this could be a presentation itself. So I decided to start the premise of the allegory of the cave from Plato's Republic. Essentially, money is a mediation. It becomes between us and the thing in itself, the thing that it's meant to represent. At the end of the day, this obfuscates the thing in itself and replaces it with a simulacra until we're no longer interested in the object itself, but its monetary value. And this is what people like Benjamin would call the aura of money. It becomes a commodity in and of itself, something that people value, often more than the thing in itself. Ultimately, this leads to a technological attitude where everything becomes framed as a means to an end. Even people, we're just human resources now. Money creates a kingdom of means. And this is what Kant would call radical evil. Next slide, please. Kant gives us a categorical imperative that we're all obliged to obey, according to Kant. For all rational beings come under the law that each of them must treat itself and all others never merely as means, but in every case at the same time as an end in themselves. We have a moral obligation to treat everything, all others, there's no in or out, this is all others, the community, the trees, the plants, even the earth itself. Next slide, please. In this, we went through the policy analysis of the Constitution of Mercia, and we've written a story to illustrate how a community would work using UBG. Next slide, please. So firstly, what is UBI? Because this is what we originally were thinking about and why we went for UBG. UBI, Universal Basic Income, is an unconditional cash payment adequate to meet an individual's needs, paid to everyone regardless of means or contribution. Sounds brilliant. That's what we thought. However, libertarians have argued for the elimination of the welfare society via UBI. So it's not as good news as we would hope in. Next slide. So what is UBG? Basically, it's adequate supplies of water, food, fuel, clothing and housing. Our basic needs as a right and duty. It's about cooperative community and consensus basis, how we can work together through a collective endeavour to produce what we need as a community, where not everybody is treated as an end in themselves. And it's these quotes on the screen are from the documents I referred to earlier. Next slide, please. So when we say needs, what are we talking about? We're talking about essential and transcendental needs. Well, we already mentioned the essential needs: food, shelter, clean water. But what about the transcendental needs? Community, health, education. And ultimately, what we really want to change and move towards is a mutual relationship of care. Next slide, please. Okay, this is basically the vision of Independent Mercia. It sees these things have been interrelated and there being conditions or possibilities of introducing UBG. So it has to be based on cooperative community where we all work together, not competing over resources. It has to be in ecological balance, ensuring that we live in harmony with the earth and the other animals that we share it with. And of course, organic democracy. All decisions about what is produced in the community must be done on a consensus-based, participatory, fully inclusive democracy. Next slide, please. So this might sound pie in the sky, but I would say it's how we used to live. And we all kind of already have it in some form. In the UK, we have the NHS, which was envisaged as a form of universal basic guarantee where everybody be given access to healthcare that are adequate to their needs, regardless of any kind of contribution, whether they're working or whether they're means tested, etc. So everybody gets the benefit. Next slide. So what is it we're trying to do here? We see UBG as the path to creating a cooperative community, but also conversely is not a cooperative community the condition of possibility of universal guaranteed income. Otherwise we could just have people say, well, you could just put up with the most basic foods. So community is fundamentally important to making UBG work, and it's also fundamental, and UBG is also fundamentally to creating the sense of community. Next slide, please. So who are we? There's a kind of hauntology going on here. Who are we in Free Mercia? I'll kind of sum it up this way. The call for UBG and Independent Mercia are both haunting cries from our dead past for a living future in which that which was broken is made whole again. In our case, a cooperative society in balance with nature, in which people are guaranteed a reasonable standard of living through the principle of UBG. Next slide, please. So in summary, UBI is monetary based and money is not neutral. Monetary relations are both morally corrupting and socially and ecologically destructive. UBG is a radical approach to restoring community and ecological balance. UBG for IM sees the local community providing for everybody's needs on a consensus-based community organic democracy basis. Next slide, please. And so, in summary, a better life awaits you. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, next slide. There's some references for you. And next slide. Oh, that's the end. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Damon and Marcus there.